This is a cartridge for the Atari Jaguar, so this is the game I'm going to do next. I have about 10 Jaguar games now, and this just happens to be the only one I have that doesn't have a box. And actually, a lot of them have got surprisingly good condition boxes, which sort of makes me think a lot of people didn't really play their games all that much, because boxes for a lot of other machines are always quite tatty when you buy them second hand. Even though I don't have a box, I do have the overlay for this game. And if you don't know what I mean, this is the Atari Jaguar controller. Games would often come with this little plastic thing that you could slot into the controller, and it would tell you what the controls of these buttons do. Obviously, it will still work without it, but it's nice to see what they actually do. You've got a button here to bring up the map. You've got 3 buttons to save to the 3 save slots, which they've set aside on the cartridge. I can't remember what these 2 do. I think they're to do with resetting the game and to turn the music on and off. This is the first video of 2021, so Happy New Year everybody. And, oh never mind, let's try that again. I've been wanting to do a video of this game for quite a while now. I just haven't got around to it because I haven't set up my Jaguar for a long time. Even on screens like this, if you compare the Jaguar to other 2D machines, it can put a heck of a lot more colours on screen. So I bet if it had had a version of something like Mortal Kombat, something with digitised images, they would have looked really good on the Jaguar. Oh yeah, by the way, this menu is a little bit sensitive. I struggled a little bit to get it to do what I wanted. And you might notice there that the controls show 3 buttons. So even though there's lots and lots of buttons on the Jaguar controller, there is only 3 action buttons. Just go there and kill the baddies. It does look a little bit basic, doesn't it? Because the floor and the ceiling are just one colour, and the walls are all pretty much the same. But the thing about that is that because of its simplicity, the Jaguar runs it really well. And they actually went to the effort of improving the graphics. So later versions of the game have better graphics, but I think they were drawn specifically for this version of the game. And they do look quite nice. Now you might see me walking up against quite a lot of walls, and that's because there's I mean, it's quite common for these sorts of games, but there's lots of secrets. You just have to walk up to the right place and press the open button. Oh, careful. Careful, Andy. The gameplay really does consist of shooting stuff and checking out all the different rooms. Ah, I knew there was a guy around the corner there. So here's my first secret. And it's a new weapon. So you remember that there's an overlay for the controller, and one of the buttons is a map button. Now you can bring up the map at any time during the gameplay, and the map is quite useful because it shows you where you've been and it shows you where you were yet to go. And it is quite easy to get lost because a lot of these areas look quite similar. No secrets there. You know, I think I played this a little bit too cautiously. So I was trying to be careful with my ammo, but I ended up walking over lots of ammo that I couldn't pick up because I already had too much. But yeah, I do end up playing this really cautiously, and I don't think I really needed to. I don't think that's the way the game's intended to be played. And once they've noticed you, you can sort of just stand behind a door and they'll come up to you and open it. Oh, it's another secret. I end up spending quite a lot of time on this first level. This does run really well. So I've played a few Jaguar games. I've got about 10 Jaguar games at this point. It doesn't appear to be a particularly amazing system. It's kind of halfway between the 16-bit machines like the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, and the 32-bit machines like the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1. But it's not that it can't do 3D. It's just that when it does do 3D, it does it really, really slowly. Even games like Tempest 2000 have really bad slowdown at times. And if you compare that to even the 32X, I don't really notice as much slowdown on the 32X. Say if you compare Virtua Racing Deluxe to Checkered Flag, Virtua Racing Deluxe being a 32X game and Checkered Flag being a Jaguar game, the frame rate on the Jaguar game is much, much worse. Borderline unplayable. I think it might just be slightly flawed hardware. Although having said that, Doom on the Jaguar is definitely better than Doom on the 32X. But of course all of these systems got completely trounced by the PlayStation when it eventually came out. I think another problem with the Jaguar is that it just didn't have that many good games, did it? If you don't have a Jaguar yet and you're thinking of buying one, then this game is definitely one of the better games to buy for it. But there's a small selection and there aren't really that many good ones. I do have a copy of Treasure Island Dizzy for the Jaguar now, and for some reason that has lots and lots of slowdown. I don't really know why. It's obviously the way it's programmed, because it doesn't need to have slowdown. This is level 2, and this is much the same as level 1. Oh, got caught from behind there. Yeah, a little bit of a flaw in the design here is you don't know where you're getting shot from, and it takes just a little bit too long to turn around. And of course on the PC version you wouldn't have that trouble because you can use the mouse. I've got a homebrew copy of this for the Mega Drive, and it's actually really impressive on the Mega Drive. The graphics aren't as good as this, but it runs really well, and I find the turning to just be a little bit more snappy, so it's easier to aim at people. This one has a slight, you do get a bit of inertia when you're turning. Now, this does have a pretty useful save game feature, and you can save directly to the cartridge. And you do that by just pressing one of 3 buttons on the numpad, the number keys on the Jaguar controller. You've got 3 save slots basically, so it's very, very easy to save it. We've got some brick textures now. Now, I must admit, I hadn't actually spent the time to get this far before in this game, so I didn't realise this was a boss, so I was a little bit unprepared for him. Whoa, look at the size of him. Both of his arms have been converted into guns. I wasn't really sure if there was a tried and tested way of beating the boss, so I employed a bit of a hit and run thing. He does seem to just chase after you, doesn't he? Oh my god. So, with a little bit of luck, I run into this room and grab this gun. I've not played up to this part before. The last time I played Wolfenstein 3D on my Jaguar, I only tried it out long enough just to test it, so I wasn't really sure how many levels there were until the first boss. Yeah, did I mention before that picking up treasure gives you extra health? Okay, there we go. So I killed 100% of the enemies, and I didn't get any of the secrets. So this is a different recording from a different day, and you can see there that you can just choose the last save game to load up. I can carry on from where I was before. We do have slightly different graphics again. I don't know what that yellow stuff's supposed to be all over the walls. I find the game did get a little bit easier at this point. Once you've got this gun, you can go crazy. They have an awful lot of the same pictures in this place, don't they? I mean, can you imagine when they were moving in, somebody must have bought about 2,000 pictures to hang up. There's definitely a lot more soldiers on this level. Ah, okay, so I skipped ahead to the point where I collected the bazooka. I think this is exclusive to the newer versions of the game. This isn't in the PC version, but it does act a little bit weird. All it does is fire a projectile, and it doesn't really cause any splash damage or anything. And it has its own set of ammo as well. Well, that guy's good at dodging. Yeah, I think after a while this game does get a little bit samey, so it's not really one that I would like to sit down and play all the way through in one go. Gaming's different to what it used to be. When this was new, I probably would have been absolutely blown away, but today I can play it in little chunks. And actually, after recording this video, I might not ever go back to playing it. A little bit later on, I do pick up a flamethrower, which is another new weapon. So definitely grab a copy of this if you have a Jaguar and you don't have a copy of it already. So this is the flamethrower, and again it just fires projectiles, but it fires a few at a time. Look at all that food on the floor. We can see there down in the bottom right, the flamethrower does have its own ammo as well. Alright, well I guess I need to eat some of it now. I've done this long enough. What I'll do is I'll show off very, very quickly the Mega Drive version, just for the last minute or so of the video, and then that's the end of the video.